morning, race fans, and welcome back to the Old Bastards Racing League Metro Ford Cup Series every Sunday morning. Today, we're at the virtual Talladega Super Speedway, and we've got 12 drivers in the playoffs, and gonna see who can survive the massive action we're going to have here at Talladega. As always, I'm your host, James East, bringing the action 1080p 60 frames a second with good friend and longtime associate Mason Heimball running production for us here tonight. We're bringing the action 1080p 60 frames a second as we get ready to send them out for 85 laps here in this main event. Qualifying currently underway. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens here in the playoffs. A lot of the drivers, especially those top 12 that are trying to make it to the next round, I'm curious to see who's going to play it safe and who's going to maybe spin it a little bit early. As always, thank you to our fans, friends, and family from across the world helping to make these shows possible each and every week. Let us know on the YouTube side of things where you're from and who you're cheering on. As right now we've got drivers out on track in qualifying to see what they can put down. I'm going to be very interested to see if a large portion of the field opts to not qualify and maybe start from the back. I believe it's going to be a two-stop race, barring any cautions, but as we know at home, it just takes one little lapse of judgment at 200 miles an hour. That's a good way for some of these drivers to have a bad night and go home early. Looks like that's Jonathan Green in the 37 machine we're watching on board, or watching from the camera here as he makes his way around for the qualifying run. Now here at Talladega Super Speedway, drivers will spend the opening lap and a half running up against the wall, trying to build up as much speed as they possibly can. And then you're going to see them hugging that yellow line to try and make this track as little and as tight as possible. We got Victor Lane's fan club in attendance, Luke Gamer, as well as Dustin Martinson joining us over on YouTube, cheering on all the hooligans over at VLS. A 54.43, but Rick Nitz answers with a 53.83 early on. Orsdale, Michael Watts, Greg Hammond, Michael Dow, John Hinchcliffe, Dale Copeland, Mike Schrader, all out on track, putting down their qualifying runs. It's a longer qualifying session here at the Old Bastards Racing League, 10 minutes. So you're going to see some drivers as well waiting for maybe some optimal cloud cover here before they decide to go back out on track. 6 drivers have put down time so far. Dale Copeland's going to hold on. No, it's going to be Jonathan Green. Answers back of 53.66 on his second time lap. That'll be good for a provisional pole position. But keep an eye out on guys such as Greg Hammond and John Hinchcliffe. They are pretty darn good at qualifying each and every week. And it's going to be interesting to see who's able to dethrone them. There's a lot of heavy hitters that haven't put down times yet as well. Wayne MacArthur has yet to go out on track. Victor Ryan, a newcomer in the 119 machine, he won't be able to qualify, but it's going to be interesting to watch him out there as well. And Tom Ogle also has not went out on track, although he is in pit road. That number 11 machine. Green comes down pit road at 53.66. Mike Schrader moves up to second. Dale Copeland now in third. Orsdale in the 99 machine clicks off a 53.71. And look at that. There's Michael Watts moves up a 53.62, edging out the 37 of Jonathan Green. Right now we're looking at Tom Ogle in a freshly painted white claw number 11. Very well in qualifying, but I'm not sure how the Super Speedway is going to play to or against his advantage here. As I'm going to try and get the points pulled up on a separate monitor. Now, right now, we've got 12 drivers inside the playoff. It's Dwayne MacArthur, Eddie Jones, Mike Watts, Brian Lindsay, Tom Ogle, John Hinchcliffe, Ken Huff, Dean Gear, Greg McDaniel, Steve Thompson, Lloyd Moore, and Dakota Pischke are the current 12 drivers. So these guys are going to be pushing very hard, but not so much where they risk wadding up some machines, because next week we go to the Charlotte Motor Speedway, the Roval. decide how we're going to dwindle it down to 8 drivers in the next round. Machine of Dan Hill rocking and rolling. Running the Air Force paint scheme again. Michael Watts, your current pole setter in the 84. And not too much time left in qualifying here at Talladega. Still, a lot of drivers haven't went out on track. Eddie Jones, Greg McDaniel, Larry Corey, Bert Dodson, Cottingham, Lindsay, Garisco, Victor Lane just now going out on track, the number 3 machine. He was getting a whole lot of love from the fans early on. It's going to be nice to see what type of time he can put down his debut in the Metro Ford Cup Series. Now, Victor has run a whole lot of action here at the Metro Ford Cup, the other series at the Old Bastards Racing League before, as we check in on Dean Pickle here in the KFC back machine. Yeah. There we go. And different cars and different tracks, so always curious to see how that's going to pan out when they switch over to something new in the case of these next-gen Cup cars. Hill puts it on pole at 53, number 10. Gear gets down as low as he possibly can. What's he going to put down on the 92? He moves up to 13th now. See if we can get a camera on Victor Lane, the number 3 machine. Again, he's getting a whole lot of love from the fans here, so it's going to be interesting to see how this one pans out as he gets ready to wrap up qualifying. Not a lot of time left in the session for the driver, the number 3, Victor. Because it is 2 timed laps or 10 minutes, whatever comes first here every Sunday morning. Victor trying to get as low as he possibly, squeeze some more time. And let's see what Victor can do as he gets down low. And he will wrap up qualifying. We're going to do something real quickly up here in the booth, try and get something corrected on my end with a microphone. And then get right back to the action. So it looks like Victor is going to move up to 9th here in qualifying with a 53.77. And I think we've got just about everybody who's qualified. 15 drivers have put down time so far here. And I think that's going to be about it as far as the qualifying goes. And that's going to leave about the same amount of drivers starting without putting down any time. So a large portion of the field willing to play it safe and maybe just hang around the back, wait for some fast drivers to sacrifice a little bit of machines and bodywork to the racing gods, as I think that is going to wrap up the qualifying. It's going to be Dan Hill in that number 1 spot. As I say that, Brian Glass propels himself up to 7th in the 87. In here live time, I think that's the only drivers we have still out on the track. So yes, that is going to be the qualifying 15 drivers with times. And let's get ready to grid them up for today's main event. Starting on pole, Dan Hill in the number 10 machine. Michael Watts starting 2nd. Tom Liberace-Ogle starting 3rd. Jonathan Green starts 4th. John Hinchcliffe starting 5th. Lee Warsdale in the 99 starts 6th. Brian Glass starting 7th. Dean Gear starting 8th. Mike Schrader starting 9th. Victor Lane in his debut will be starting 10th. Dale Copeland starts 11th. Greg Hammond in the number 88 starts 12th. Lloyd Moore starting 13th. Michael Dow starting 14th. Rick Nitz starts 15th. Ken Huff starting 16th. Greg Kimball.net McDaniel starting 17th. Dwayne McCarthy, the fast Canadian, starting 18th. Darrell Winninger starts 19th. Eddie Cajun Jones starting 20th. Cam Chastain, another rookie driver, he'll be starting 21st. Clay Walker starts 22nd. Victor Ryan in the 119 starting 23rd. Robert Garisco starts 24th. Dakota Pischke starts 25th. Garrett Cottingham starting 26th. Chris Sidnor starts 27th. Brian Lindsay starting 28th. Larry Corey starts 29th. Alan Wanamaker starts 30th. Bert Dotson starting... Oh, it looks like Dotson's going to start from the back. Dotson's going to be starting 30th. Nelson 31st. And that... Yeah, excuse me. And then Bert Dotson starting 31st and Joe Nelson starting 32nd. So that is your running grid order for today's main event. Let's get ready as we're behind our iRacing safety car. That's going to be Michael Watts, Dan Hill on the front row, Ogle, Green, your second row, Hinchcliffe, Warsdale, your third row. Now, Lloyd Moore in the 26 machine, if you're keeping track of him, he did receive an EOL coming into tonight. So he is shuffled all the way to the back in the number 26 machine. He'll be 32nd. Now, not necessarily a race ender for these guys, as I am expecting an early caution if we don't get into a groove with these drivers. Now, these guys are known for long green flag runs, but will we get it here tonight at Talladega Super Speedway? And that's one thing to be said as well here at Talladega. If you are under eye-pacing conditions, it is a painfully long time to make your way around this 2-mile high-banked track. A beautiful bird's eye view through 3 and 4. Pace car will be making its way in this time by all right, pace car is in, the fans and drivers getting ready. And we are going to, oh, where is it? There we go, green flag racing here at Talladega. Looks like Hill's going to hold on to the inside line. I believe that's going to be Tom Ogle, yes, in the number 11 machine. A newly painted number 11. He's going to work the inside line as Michael Watts gets hung out to dry ever so slightly up on the high side. He's accompanied by Jonathan Green and the 37 machine. Now, in races past, I've seen that middle to high groove work well for these next-gen Cup cars. Everybody gets nice and bunched up in a nice, tidy draft. Will we be able to see that happen here today? Or is the inside line going to hold dominant? As right now, Hill staying locked down on the inside line. Looks like Watts has a good, fairly good run on the outside. But he's going to get edged out as Tom Ogle is holding on to it on the inside. The pack nice and tidy. Everybody trying to make something happen. Watts still trying that outside line as much as he possibly can. And look at that, Michael Watts with a big run on the outside line. Not quite enough to get down in front of Dan Hill. He does have the race lead here. Can he get the momentum, get the push from Green in that 37? As Watts, and excuse me, no, it's going to be Hill. And look at Ogle giving a big push to the number 10 machine to try and keep that inside line going. We're only 2 laps into this main event, and there's a lot of drivers inside this top 12 out on track that is all looking to make something happen and hold on to their championship contentions. And you can see it's about the top, I'd call it about 12 to 15 drivers, 2 wide and 7 or 8 rows deep. The rest of the field behind them saying, hey, you know what, let's get single file, let's watch this show unfold. I think I just spotted Dean Gear's KFC machine up on the high line as well. Seems like the lines are just about equal, but Hill staying glued down to the bottom line, able to fend off the big run we saw from that middle line led by Michael Watts in the 84. Now, something for these drivers to consider is it looks like the top 3 want to try something different here, leaving Tom Ogle behind them. Very interesting. There might be some team orders and some strategy in play here, as that's Hill, Ogle, and Hinchcliffe moving up to the middle line ahead of Michael Watts in the 84 machine. But what I was going to say is drivers have to be mindful of fuel if they're out front leading the charge, as we play a high risk game of snake down the backstretch. Everybody trying to stay in the draft, and you can see the drivers swerving in reaction to try and stay with the guy right in front of them. And look at this, now we're inside the top 10, and it looks like Michael Watts is going to drop down the inside line as well. So just like that, that top 6 kind of inverting their lines as everybody's shuffling around trying to find a position. Hill holds onto the race lead, continuing to get pushed by Tom Ogle. John Hinchcliffe in the mix as well, but it looks like Michael Watts now on the inside line with Jonathan Green pushing him. Almost a mirror image of the opening 2 or 3 laps inside that top 6. And now we're hinting at some 3 wide action down the backstretch. Who's going to come out on top? As you can see, drivers rapidly changing lanes. On board with Jonathan Green, the 37 machine, he must have had something happen. He has fallen back to 9th, down 5 spots from where he started. As you can see, Greg Hammond, as well as Victor Lane, the number 3 machine, making some lunge. Look, speaking of lunges, Green catches right up to Victor there. So something's going on. I wonder if Green got a little bit, I don't want to call it stage fright, but maybe realized he was squarely in the vortex of danger inside that top 5, and drivers swerving around trying to make something happen, realizing, you know what, I'd rather just finish this race instead of widening it up 10 laps in. Now I'm checking, I don't think Green is a playoff driver. Just out here for the glory of it. There's 2 very distinct packs starting to form up. You got about the top 5, top 6 drivers all single line. Then you go back to Green, who's squarely in the mix of it behind Victor Lane's number 3 machine. I believe I spotted Ken Huff just ahead as well. Yeah, Ken Huff in the 46 machine. He's up 9 positions and is our hard charger. Let's make it 10 spots as Huff moves up into 6. And right now we got side-by-side action. Dale Cope and Greg Hammond. We got moves being made all across the track here. So this is the pack racing we all come to enjoy as Hill continues to charge up front. You can see Tom Ogle and John Hinchcliffe tucked in right behind him. But keep an eye out. Brian Glass in the 87 machine showing in 4th, battling for 3rd with Hinchcliffe. Is seeing if he can rally some reinforcements on the inside line. He's got Michael Watts right behind him. But as it stands, it looks like the high line definitely the place to be here. Oh, there we go. 3 wide action at Talladega. Michael Watts squarely in the middle in the 84 machine. We're swerving around. We got a driver up into the wall. I think that was Huff on the high side. So Watts still in a precarious spot. He's tucked in right behind Brian Glass. Can't go high, can't go low here. So it looks like the outside line's starting to open up for him, but getting a little bit squirrely, only 8 laps in, not even 10% of the way through today's main event. And we are starting to see some moves. Now, I'm curious to see what the fuel run's going to be out of these drivers here today. How long can we go on a green flag stop before drivers must come down pit road? And we are rocking and rolling now. It looks to me like the driver is calming down ever so slightly after a couple of wild laps, realizing again, we're only 9 laps in. We've got to make it to lap 85 plus any cautions we might have. And no one wants to go home prematurely with a wadded up race car. Greg Hammond back in 12th with a little bit of blinks right behind him there. I think that may have been Greg McDaniel, I think, the number 30 machine. I'm not quite sure. And we've got Mike Schrader in the number 4 machine. He's about to get company. Maybe I'm a little bit confused here. I think Schrader's the number 4 machine. Here comes the number 3, Victor Lane, right behind him. As Greg McDaniel has fallen back. Fallen back to 14th as it stands. There's McDaniel in the Kimball.net sponsored race car, and he's got Dwayne MacArthur, the fast Canadian, right behind him. MacArthur squarely inside the championship here and fairly far back to what we're seeing the number 83 machine normally run. Normally MacArthur's up there in the top 5. I think he's one of those strategies that's just playing it safe to see what's going to happen in front of him as he's tucked in behind Greg McDaniel tucked in behind Ken Huff in the 46 machine. So again, I think MacArthur didn't qualify well on purpose. He is only up 3 spots from where he qualified, and just kind of taking it easy to see what the drivers in front of him are going to do as we start to split through the field here. Still 32 drivers in the lead lap. And another report for the fans at home, something has happened to Victor Ryan, the number 119. He's dropped back to 31st in his triple-digit race. Ooh, was right ahead. I think I saw MacArthur almost nose into McDaniel. Things get a little bit dicey down the back stretch. It looked like we were hinting at 3 wide, almost 4 wide there for a second. And yes, we are going 3 wide once more. And I think at this point, MacArthur's going to try and hammer down a little bit just to get the front of this pack, or tuck in behind somebody he knows and trusts like McDaniel. That way he can save a little bit of fuel in that 83 machine, because this could very well at the end. We've seen it before time and time again here at the Metro Ford Cup Series, where these come down to fuel mileage events. So again, you were watching 12th or 11th and 12th, I guess the battle for 11th. Greg McDaniel, Dwayne MacArthur. They are about 2 seconds back from Lee Warsdale, who sits inside the top 10. And maybe, just maybe, things are going to calm down slightly now. At this point, being 2 seconds back, this is when drivers are going to start to communicate and say, all right, let's work together for a little bit, see if we can peel our way back up towards the front. You get a little bit of good intel that Dwayne MacArthur, the fast Canadian, had a trip to orbit Wednesday night. I believe, and we'll have the fans correct me if I'm wrong, I believe Wednesday night may be the Truck Series. If not, I think it may be the Xfinity. I'm sure the fans will correct me very quickly if I'm mistaken. If you ever need quick information on how to do something, tell someone else how to do it the wrong way, and then everyone will correct you mighty quickly. Then we get confirmation that yes, it is the Truck Series on Wednesday, that MacArthur spent a trip going to the moon. It looks like we're checking in on Dean Gear, Mr. Pickleman himself, the 92 in the KFC machine. He is up 2 positions, now running 6th out on track. As Dan Hill, still your race leader with Tom Ogle and Hinchcliffe right in tow. These drivers have gotten something worked out fairly well here. We are on board with the fan favorite Victor Lane, clicking off laps in his debut here at the Metro Ford Cup Series. Tucking in, that gives you a good idea of just how little you can really see in these race machines. Now Victor, another driver, unfortunately having a rough go in his debut. He is down what looks to be 17 positions. That number 3 machine falling way back to 27th, as he's got Garrett Cottingham, Alan Wanamaker, Larry Corey right in front of him. Now we did get a report, Mike Schrader, one of the first drivers down pit road, the number 4 machine. But I'm not sure if that's a pit stop out of necessities. It looks like it may be trying to get some repairs done. As no, I think Schrader may... No, it is back out, excuse me, more back out on track. It looks like Schrader also out on track. So I think we got everybody still out on the circuit. As things are starting to bunch back up towards the front of the field. This is exactly what that second pack was hoping for here. The fans betting that Victor Lane may be hopping out of formation to let this work themselves out. I think you're going to see that several times over tonight here at Talladega Super Speedway. Some drivers will make some big gutsy moves. Other drivers will realize that, hey, this is not worth it early on. And you'll see some very fast guys hop out of line, sometimes even hop down the apron, and then just kind of watch the show unfold. So these guys are betting heavily on a caution later on. It's still 16 laps in. I think we're even more bunched up in the front than we have been for the majority of the race. That's going to be about the top 20 drivers in a nice, tidy pack here. Dan Hill still holding the race lead, accompanied by Tom Ogle right behind him. John Hinchcliffe also in line on the high side. And now here comes Greg McDaniel at the inside line in the number 30. He's up 14 spots, getting that momentum going here. Oh, here we go, on board with Dan Hill. You got a bird's eye view of Tom Ogle's. Is that a pumpkin spice White Claw car, I think? So Ogle, oh, bless his heart, always running some unique White Claw paint schemes. I guess it can't be that unique if it's White Claw every week, but keeping us fresh on our toes, embracing his inner Starbucks spirit, I suppose. He strikes me as the type of guy that would wear the boots and the vest, the Han Solo outfit we see rocking and rolling every fall. And you can see Ogle giving a hearty shove to Dan Hill's number 10 machine, saying, hey, we've got some fast guys working that inside line. I want to stay as far forward as I possibly can. If and when the big one comes out here, you want to be in front of the pack, in front of the carnage, to try and bring home a clean race car. Looks like Hinchcliffe falling slightly off the bumper of Ogle. McDaniel trying to work the inside line as well. Going a little bit further in the back, the battle for 15th underway. That's going to be Brian Lindsay, Ken Huff, Grandpa Pischke, all in the mix. As, oh, there's some 3-wide action once more. You can always count on the top 15 drivers to do something pretty wild. As it looks like Pischke works his way through that one relatively clean and easy. He's going to move up to 14th. Lee Warsdale falls back to 15th ever so slightly. Robert Garisco, the number 28 machine. We haven't talked about him much tonight, but he is up 8 positions as well after qualifying 24th. Let's make it 9 as he moves up into 15th. So we've got just tight pack races. Oh no, I think Dean Gear just tagged the outside wall there in the 92. Here we go. I think that was Ken Huff. Where'd he go? There he is. Oh, that was Robert Garisco in the 28 machine. We saw the incident starting to unfold. A driver tagged the outside wall. Garisco took evasive maneuvers, nowhere to go. And it looks to me like he's going to probably limp it down to pit road here, as we do not have a caution. That front left looks a little bit hammered. Oh yeah, I don't think that thing's turning at all. Yeah, that thing is tore up. So Garisco's going to try and limp it down pit road. Again, no cautions. We check back in on the race leaders. Dan Hill still holding the race lead. Tom Ogle pushing from behind. Greg McDaniel forming up the inside line. He's got Dwayne MacArthur also working the inside. So it's still going to be about 15 drivers now in the lead pack. Lee Warsdale in 16th. He's about 6/10 off the back, forming up the second pack of drivers. And we are 2 wide and about 7 rows deep here. Now keep an eye out as well on Dwayne MacArthur in that 83 machine. They have actually taken over the race lead on that inside line, edging out Dan Hill, who's fallen back to 5th, Ogle back to 6th. So I was going to say, keep an eye out on MacArthur. He's willing to work with other drivers, given the opportunity, see if they can propel his way up a little bit further forward. There's more slicing and dicing going on here. On board with Dan Hill, the number 10 machine. He led about the opening 18 or 19 laps, but it looks like at this point of the race, the inside line getting formed up, and you can see a big run there out of Hill, but will it slow down? I thought the run was going to stall, but here comes Hill working the side draft. He's got a few drivers ahead of him. You can see Eddie Jones, the number 14 machine, will be his next target. He's side by side with Rick Nitz in the 35. Just a sliver of a shadow off the left side of your screen. Nitz and Hill battling hard for 4th. And look at that, Tom Ogle still linked up quite literally with the number 10 machine. The 10 and 11 couldn't have planned that if you wanted to. But I think if McDaniel, MacArthur, and Jones continue working together like that, they will at least be the first pack down pit road for our first green flag stop. And MacArthur, we believe, was doing a lot of fuel saving as they try and stay lined up here. So let's see, is Hill going to be able to get another run going? It looks like he is. Hill, with the help of Ogle and Hinchcliffe, getting back to the outside line and making it happen here. It looks like McDaniel, and that's going to be MacArthur. Their turn for the run to stall out slightly. So McDaniel's going to fall back ever so slightly. He's showing 4th out on track. Hill, Ogle, Hinchcliffe. The inseparable trio has moved back up inside the top 3. This is a high-speed game of cat and mouse here. Drivers hitting speeds around, I believe, 200 miles an hour. Can't quite pull that one up on my live timing here as opposed to normal, but they're absolutely moving out here. And look at the outside line really formed up. Dale Copeland also going to try and join them in the number 55 machine. I think that's Dean Gear up on the high side as well as Brian Glass. So the outside line not having any issues building up a large amount of momentum. These guys are working hard together. You can see Dwayne MacArthur. It's his turn still to push McDaniel. And when I say push, I mean quite literally they're bump drafting. And we've had some fans asking, hey, when's the green flag stops going to cycle out? We did not get that information before tonight's broadcast. Didn't have a chance to talk to our usual drivers giving us all the good intel. So we're going to be just as surprised as you out on diving down here. Now, that being said, I'm predicting the next 2 to 5 laps because we're starting to see more and more drivers shuffle down to the inside line, signifying that they're going to try and come down pit road, kind of reading the body English of how they're driving. So I believe they're getting set up for a green flag stop here. Time will definitely tell on that one. There's Michael Watts, the 84 machine, another driver that's fallen way back to 16th, down 14 spots from where he qualified. He's got Jonathan Green, the 37, who is also working heavily with Watts in the opening few laps. So a few drivers, again, wanted to get out of the vortex of danger, out of harm's way, and guarantee they're going to be here at the end. That is the top 19 drivers you see on your screen right now. And they've got a massive breakaway from the rest of the field. And when the pit road party starts, it's going to be pretty hectic, I would say. We've seen races won or lost here at the Metro Ford Cup Series on pit road, as the whole field stays out a little while longer. Greg McDaniel still holding on to 7th, or let's make it 8th, as Ken Huff battling beside him in the 46 machine. Huff has a big run, nowhere to go. As once again, we're starting to split up into a couple different lines. That's going to be, I think that's Dean Gear. Yes, it is the 92 machine. He's leading the outside charge here as they head into turn 3. Getting pushed by Brian Glass in the 87 machine. You can see Ogle's Pumpkin Spice White Claw number 11 the inside line, with John Hinchcliffe's number 8 right behind. Oh, a little bit of a moment there, as Hinchcliffe looked like he got a little bit tight, almost tagged Gear. Hill back up into the race lead and fighting hard for it here in the number 10 machine. Gear has a big run, though, on the outside line with Brian Glass. And I believe that's going to be Dale Copeland lending his assist as well. Now, it looks to me like Hill and Ogle aren't quite as linked up as they were earlier on. But, oh, Gear getting so close in the KFC back 92 machine. And look at that, Gear takes over the race lead. Will he drop down in front of Hill, or is he going to stay up on the high side? Looks like on the high side for now, as the green flag stops are underway. You can see Dan Hill coming down pit road. Oh no, there goes Hill. That's the wrong way. Hill aggressively off track into the infield. He may... Oh, I thought he just disconnected. I was going to say it wasn't that bad, but Hill may have just thrown a perfectly good race here with that absolute wild pit entry. We'll see if we can get a... Oh, no, and things are complicating for Hill in the number 10. Oh, things are going from bad to worse. We got a instant replay of missing the pit stall. We're going to try and get the other replay that we're looking for as Hill came down pit road. See if we can back that one up a little bit, as he was... very wildly. There we go. This is what we're looking for. So Hill setting up for a green flag stop, licks the stamp and absolutely sends it. Careens off track. I can't believe he held on to it. Flat tracking through the grass. And then he got a little bit of red mist in his eyes as we saw him miss that pit stall. Now, a few drivers opted to stay out here. Looks like it's going to be Greg McDaniel, Dwayne MacArthur, Eddie Jones, Brian Lindsay, Dakota Pischke, and Clay Walker. Staying out there about 12.3 seconds ahead of Michael Dow in the number 60 machine. He sits in 7th. Surely we're going to see these guys coming down pit road rather soon. .30 laps in, so that's get us a good idea of what the fuel run's going to be here. And yes, Hill did get a penalization on pit road, a 58-second pit stop. As the rest of the field, are we 3 wide on pit road? I think that may have been Brian Lindsay. Also going off in the grass there. It's going to show Greg McDaniel winning the charge onto pit road ahead of Dwayne MacArthur and Eddie Jones. And that was a relatively smaller pack. I think I may have just saw MacArthur have to back up slightly. I'm not entirely sure on that. It's going to be interesting to see as a drag race off of pit road. Will Dean Gear be able to take back over the race lead here? Oh, there's Eddie Jones getting on it quickly. So it's going to be Eddie Jones, Dwayne MacArthur, Greg McDaniel rolling out of pit road here. I'm trying to think. Dean Gear is going to try and make his way back up towards the front. He's sitting 6th out on track, but look at the momentum he has as he is ripping here at Talladega. Now, and you can see poor Dan Hill, the number 10 machine, trying to get back on the lead lap as the field scatters around. Still showing Jones as your race leader. It looks like he may be able to hold on to it here, as Gear going to try and quickly catch that pack ahead of him to rejoin the hunt. Looks like Gear may be able to, as he very quickly gets around. I think it's going to be Greg McDaniel. Yes, it is, the number 30 machine. McDaniel tucks in right behind the KFC back 92. And you can see Michael Watts just ahead in the 84 machine. That will be the upcoming battle for 5th. Ogle in 4th. Your race leader, Eddie Jones, has got to be happy with that strategy as he holds on the race lead. Now, Jones and MacArthur have about a 1-second breakaway from John Hinchcliffe in the number 8 machine. But I think with these drivers behind, they're going to start... Oh, yeah, you can see the freight train coming up behind them. They will quickly get caught up on. Yeah, you can see that top 6, 7 drivers starting to get bunched back up. Dean Gear tucked in behind Michael Watts. And there is another pack behind. I think I see Jonathan Green there in the number 37. So that's going to put Brian Glass at the front of it. They're about 2.6, 2.7 seconds back. Oh, let's make it 3 seconds back, that top 8. But again, I think at this point in the run, drivers need to start working together. As you can see further ahead, we saw a little bit of too wide action inside. I think it's that top 6, top 7 pack. Now, I'm always curious to see how we got the track map pulled up on the bottom right for our fans at home. Spectacular. So Brian Glass is falling off here from the top 7. He's now 3.5 seconds back. I'm always curious on how the draft package works. Sometimes when these drivers are too wide and 5 rows deep, able to pick up a little bit more speed than the drivers that are staying in single file formation. We do have the live timing tower also pulled up on the left side of your screen, so you can see where your favorite driver is after the completion of a pretty wild opening green flag stops. And while we have that up, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. Dr. Amy, the Thyroid Fixer, coming on board this season, as well as our friends over at Metro Ford. Check them out, emetroford.com, looking for a new or a used Ford vehicle. We got Victor Lane Sports also coming on board this season. He's out on track in the number 3 machine for the first time. And then our good friends at Kimball.net with Greg McDaniel also coming on board. So again, thank you to our sponsors as well as the fans. Without all these guys, we wouldn't have much of a race every Sunday morning. Checking back in on Eddie Jones, your race leader. He's up 19 spots. He's got Dwayne MacArthur tucked in behind him. But it looks like Michael Watts and friends have closed the gap. We got a little bit of traffic to contend with. We very quickly go 3 wide. Looks like we're going to get through nice and easy. I think that driver may have tagged the outside wall. And this is where things get real exciting real quickly for our drivers. You're already 2 wide, 4 rows deep. And then you realize, oh, we're about to get all real close together as we cut through traffic. John Hinchcliffe shows as your race leader up on the high line. He's in the danger zone as they make their way through traffic. 3 wide, everybody doing a good job holding the line. And we get through unscathed here. Looks like Hinchcliffe's going to pick up a lap lead. And now Ogle, still the pusher. Oh, is he going to get a lap lead? As here comes Dean Gear. Gear is hungry for it here today. No KFC puns intended. As he's working the inside line, that 92 machine, seeing if he can get a little bit further up into the fray. Now, Gear is one of those playoff drivers here at the Metro Ford Cup Series. So he needs a good race, especially if he's not a huge fan of road racing. Since we are going to the Roval next week in Charlotte. On board the number 8 machine, John Hinchcliffe. Another great view of Tom Ogle. Hinchcliffe, your race leader. Picking up some laps led here at Talladega. Had good races and he's had some bad races so far this season. He's 6th in points. He is still looking for his first win. As I'm cycling through here, I think he hasn't had a podium since back on April 24th. But what do you know, the last time he was on the podium was also at Talladega. So Hinchcliffe may have something in his back pocket here, and he's working with some titans such as Ogle that can help him make that happen. As it looks like we're dropping back, I was going to say back into single file, and having to very quickly correct myself as we go 3 wide gear in the middle. There's Eddie Jones and MacArthur working the inside line. Oh, look at that. Ogle's hopped out of line. No longer giving his support to Hinchcliffe. Tom Ogle's going to try and get a lap led here at Talladega in the pumpkin spiced White Claw back number 11. They crossed the line, and yes, it's going to be a lap for Ogle. Hinchcliffe is now going to be pushing him as here comes Jones, MacArthur, and Watts at the inside line. You can also see Greg McDaniel's machine in the fray. Now we've seen Ogle and Hinchcliffe working together. It's going to be intriguing to see how things go for Ogle. He's been the one pushing so far in the opening 38 laps. Now he's finally got clean air on the front of that number 11 machine, with Hinchcliffe helping out. And I think that's the number 10 of Hill, who's trying to get a lap back here. Yes, it is. He's third in track, but I believe a lap down. Yes, we get confirmation on that. Dan Hill is going to just try and unlap himself the old-fashioned way. Yep. Yeah, Hill working his way around the race leaders, getting a lap back, and just going for it. Now, what does kind of worry me up here in the booth, we've seen drivers in the past work so hard on strategy and try and make it basically pay off towards the end of it. And then all of a sudden, a late race caution throws things in the plan. So we're expecting one more green flag pit stop around that lap 60 mark, and these drivers should be able to go till the end on fuel. But again, that was barring any cautions, which is Talladega. We haven't seen the big one yet. Panning back to the battle for 8th. I think that's going to be, yes, Brian Glass, Jonathan Green, Lee Warsdale, Rick Nitz, Dale Copeland, Dakota Pischke on this Rick's mix. So about the 5 drivers running 8th to 13th. And my oh my is Green giving a hearty shove to Glass down the backstretch, trying to close that gap to the front pack. Not quite to the halfway mark of today's main event, but getting very, very close. And again, are these guys closing the gap at all? Brian Glass showing about 3 seconds back from Greg McDaniel in 7th. And running almost identical lap times here. This is going to be tough to see. Actually, I take that back. Glass was about 4/10 faster than McDaniel ahead of him. As Glass, Green, Warsdale all running just about identical lap times. So they are very slowly pulling into the lead pack. I don't know. It now all of a sudden it's showing 3.2 seconds the advantage of Greg McDaniel. So I think these guys, as they're running single file, trying to work together, they just got so much momentum built up towards the front. It's going to be really tough to make something happen. Now, that being said, if they can stay on the lead lap and stay on pit cycle, still not all is over. It looks like we're checking on the 118 machine of Cam Chastain, one of the rookie drivers here in the Metro Ford Cup Series. Drivers with triple-digit numbers, not able to qualify, and they have to earn their double digits, completing a minimum number of races with a maximum amount of incident points before they get promoted to a double-digit race number and joining the elite here in the Metro Ford Cup Series. So that's one of my favorite things to do every week, is check in on the rookie drivers. Chastain has moved up 6 spots, qualified 21st, now up into 15th. And then our other triple-digit driver out on track, Victor Ryan in the 119 machine, he sits 27th, down 4 spots. But always fun to watch what the newcomers are doing. And We've seen guys such as, Dan Hill, such as Jonathan Green. We've been calling the Metro Ford Cup Series for a very long time now. I think over 2 years at this point. Ooh, what's going on there? Dean Gear taking an alternative line across the apron. Hinchcliffe will have the race lead. He's tucked in behind Dan Hill, who's barely in the lead lap. But as I was saying, we've seen guys such as Hill, such as Green, started calling the race when they were triple-digit rookie drivers. And now all of a sudden, these are the guys you were calling inside the top 5, the top 10 each and every week, putting on a great effort and joining the family in force. And if you're looking for a race series, check them out, obrl.net. They run multiple times throughout the week. They run ARCA, they run trucks, Xfinity. And of course, every Sunday morning you can catch us here at the Metro Ford Cup Series. The minimum age, 35 years. And clean drivers are welcome anytime. We are past the halfway mark in today's main event. Right now it's still Hinchcliffe, Gear, Jones, your top 3. MacArthur and Watts round out the top 5. As Hinchcliffe and Gear have a little bit of breakaway from Eddie Jones here, about a second advantage as they sit inside the top 2. And it looks like Brian Glass closing the gap to that top pack as well. I believe that was Tom Ogle we just saw kind of in no man's land there, sitting in 7th. Oh yeah, look at this. Here comes Brian Glass. He's going to very quickly catch up to that number 11 of Ogle. And then Ogle will get swallowed up by the drivers behind him. He's backed off the pace rather heavily. Jones still working the inside line. You can see the top 2 drivers with a little bit of traffic ahead, holding on to the middle groove here. Oh, here we go. Looks like Jones is caught up to Dean Gear. Is he going to stay tucked in behind the 92 machine, or are we going to see Jones try and lead himself and his team back up towards the front? Hinchcliffe still showing as your race leader. Gear with a big move up the inside line. Looks like he's going to get shuffled out of formation here. Jones still holding on to it. He's moved up to 2nd. MacArthur in 3rd. Dan Hill barely holding on to the lead lap here as Eddie Jones, Dwayne MacArthur working the inside line together. It's going to be Michael Watts also there in the 84 machine, as well as Greg McDaniels, number 30. Gear still trying to work the outside line, trying to get up behind Hinchcliffe. But Jones and MacArthur are linked up nose to tail. That's an absolutely lethal combination of drivers that have worked together, oh, Lord knows how many hours together on sim and on iRacing. So keep an eye out on those 2 teammates as they try and work their way up towards the front. Again, we're expecting green flag stops around the lap 60 mark if they stay true to form. I don't think we're going to see any undercuts or varying strategies at least too much here. As here comes Jones working the inside line once more, seeing if he can get around Hinchcliffe, your race leader. Now Hinchcliffe, the 2nd car in line on that high side, right behind Dan Hill, the previous race leader who had those problems on pit road, and just fighting so desperately to stay on the lead lap. But Jones showing as your race leader as they cross the start-finish line here at Talladega. MacArthur joining him. He's the 2nd car on the inside line. You got Watts in the bright blue 84, and McDaniel in the black, white, and yellow number 30 machine. Now this is an interesting spot. We know Hill has the pace to run up front. He did it for a large portion of the race. So this is going to throw a bit of a wrench into the plans for the guys who are currently battling for the lead. I wonder if Hill's maybe hoping for a caution behind him to get him back squarely on the lead lap. We've had fans asking if any of their favorite drivers are out of this race. I believe Robert Garisco, Mike Schrader will be out. Trying to get confirmation on that, but I do not see them out on track. Yes, we get confirmation. Garisco and Schrader have put it back into the virtual hauler. And Wanamaker as well has retired in the 23 machine. So that's going to leave us about 29 drivers out on track of the 32 that started. 25 still on the lead lap. Now that being said, I think drivers, if they know that, hey, even if I'm a lap or so down, I personally am expecting some mid to late race cautions here as drivers run out of patience is, I guess, the best way to describe it. And things are still very busy up inside this lead pack. Hinchcliffe shows as your race leader. I see MacArthur squarely in the fray there as well on the 83 machine. So starting to shuffle some drivers out of the way. And yeah, this is a perfect example of how close things are out on track. Any single mistake is a good way to send yourself and a whole lot of drivers right behind you back home early on. I do stand corrected, that was not MacArthur. I saw third on the inside line. It was a different driver. It almost looked like that Bass Pro Shop painted in a machine. So great racing, great 2 wide, and a lot of times 3 wide action across the track. It looks like we've got the split times updated for the fans at home. Now, thankfully, tire wear not a major factor here at Talladega, so drivers should be fairly well sorted for quite a while, not falling off too much time as far as lap times go. More about staying consistent and using the draft to your advantage, as well as lap traffic, as we've seen in a whole lot of instances. And still more 2 wide action here at Talladega. The top part of the field is starting to calm down ever so slightly. As I say that, Dwayne MacArthur still behind Hinchcliffe. Hinchcliffe using Dan Hill as a draft partner. As the number 10 machine fights to stay on the lead lap. About 32 laps left to go in this main event. Looks like we're going to stay single file. As you can see, Brian Glass in the 87 machine. That was a good wide angle shot we saw of the second pack trying everything they can to close up to the lead pack. They're still about 2.4 seconds back from what's going to be your top 6 drivers. Plus a little bit of traffic mixed in as well here. None of these drivers want to be the first ones to show their cards too early on. And I think this is a pretty well win-win for everybody inside the top. Able to save a little bit of fuel as Dan Hill, a lap down, leads that big charge. As here is a very busy racetrack from about, I believe it's going to be 14th place back. Greg Hammond leading the group. You see Ken Huff's 46 machine, Darrell Winninger, Chris Sidner, Bert Dodson, Victor Lane back up to 19th. Larry Corey, Cam Chastain, Garrett Cottingham, Michael Dow, all in the pack here. This is 14th through about 23rd, plus some drivers who aren't on the lead lap. if we were going to see a caution, I would predict this is going to be the group we would most likely see it at later on. We made it 55 laps under green flag racing so far, so let's see if we can keep it that way. It would not be unheard of to have a green flag race here at the Metro Ford Cup Series. It would be slightly out of character to not have one late in the race at a super speedway, though. When drivers know there's only a few laps left to make big lunges, that's where you're going to see more 3 and 4 wide action. As right now it's single file up front. Dan Hill, the number 10 machine, is actually a lap down. You see John Hinchcliffe, that number 8. He's your current race leader. Wayne MacArthur right behind him. Eddie Jones going to run out of the top 3. Greg McDaniel, Michael Watts makes up the current top 5 as you're on board once more with Dan Hill. 24th out on track, but you can see the race leader Hinchcliffe right behind him here. As it looks like MacArthur's going to make a move for it up the inside line. Eddie Jones is going to follow suit, as well as Greg McDaniel. Hinchcliffe gets left out to dry here. Here comes MacArthur. The inside line formed up and finally happening. Will MacArthur get clear into turn 3? It looks like he's going to. And he's got his old friend and teammate Eddie Jones right behind him. Justin Martinson letting us know that on Wednesday in the Truck Series, it was actually the lead pack that brought out the late race caution. And we are expecting the green flag stops to open up the next 3 to 4 laps. And these, in theory, could be the final stops of the evening. MacArthur and Hinchcliffe side by side for the race lead. Here's Dean Gear, the 92 machine, trying to join the fray. Look at the run from Hinchcliffe and Hill here. Up on the high side. Hinchcliffe goes back low. Now Hill's going to fight to stay on the lead lap, but he's not going to fight too fiercely here, knowing how much is on the line for these championship contenders. There's Hinchcliffe on the inside line. He's got Dean Gear behind him. MacArthur up on the high side. He's tucked in behind Hill. Eddie Jones lends his support on the high side as well. So right now it's going to be Dwayne MacArthur, the fast Canadian, your current race leader here. And Hill just doing everything he can to stay on the lead lap just ever so slightly. So it looks like our second pack starting to catch up towards the front. That's Brian Glass leading the fray. He's got Jonathan Green, Lee Warsdale, Rick Nitz, Dale Copeland, Dakota Pischke lending their support. These guys are going to give it everything they have to try and catch up before the green flag stops are underway here. And a little bit of luck on their part and some bad luck up front, they can still get back up here and get inside the top 5. We've seen several big problems on pit road this evening, as we believe the fuel window is officially open for these drivers for their final stop of the evening. They're still going to stretch these tanks out, I would think, as empty as they possibly can. That way, if we do get into green, white, checkered conditions at the tail end of this thing, they're going to be well and sorted on fuel. That's what I would do up here in the booth, which is easier said than done. And here comes the green flag stops. We got the camera queued up. Thankfully, it looks a little bit less exciting for the drivers, as that was going to be MacArthur leading everybody down pit road. Now Glass, Copeland, and Pischke opted to stay out. There's McDaniel slide into his pit stall. There's John Hinchcliffe, the number 8 machine. Is this going to be another drag race off of pit road? Looks like we're starting to get drivers to cycle out of this thing. Not seeing anybody try anything different on strategy. I was thinking, hey, maybe we'll see a two-tire stop here, but looks like everybody took 400 some. Now, Michael Watts and Rick Nitz had some sort of problems on pit road. Watts has been there for 30 seconds. Nitz, 20 seconds and climbing. Signifying they may have gotten some sort of penalty is now Brian Glass, Dale Copeland. Dakota Pischke comes down pit road for what could be their final stops. That should put Dwayne MacArthur as your race leader. And once again, a very frantic pit road here. Wow, everybody's absolutely going. One guy drives through the iRacing safety car. But I think that it's going to be interesting to see, is that going to put MacArthur as your race leader? As Glass, Pischke, and Copeland work to get out on track, they're off of pit road. Here comes MacArthur leading the freight train. Brian Glass's Kodak back to 87, always easy to sponsor, and these three drivers are absolutely ripping it here. They've got about a 2-second advantage over Dean Gear's 92 machine. Gear back and forth. Hinchcliffe rounds out the top 5. So as it stands, it's MacArthur, Jones, McDaniel, your top 3. A 2.5 second breakaway over the rest of the field. 25 laps left to go here at Talladega. As things still relatively calm. As we're on board with the affectionately called Dakota Grandpa Pischke, the number 1 machine. He is rocking and rolling here. He's currently 7th out on track. He's up 18 positions in the number 1. Oh, they're swerving around here, trying to make something happen behind Brian Glass's 87 machine. Now Glass and Pischke, as they're battling out here, that's going to slow them down from trying to get back up towards the top 5 with Dean Gear. As we go a little bit further back into the field, that is going to be Greg Hammond, Ken Huff, Daryl Winninger, Bert Dodson. Running 12th through 15th. They're about 20 seconds off the back of Jonathan Green. So even though these drivers aren't necessarily in it for the Chase playoffs or even for a top 5 here in the Metro Ford Cup Series, still lots of great racing to be had. Now, we did have questions. Where's Victor Lane? He is sitting 24th out on track. There's Victor Lane, the number 3 machine, tucked in behind the Chick-fil-A car, it looks like. So Victor not having the race he was looking for, at least not in the debut. I'm wondering what problems he had as now Dan Hill comes down pit road for his final stop of the evening. For Victor, he has fallen 14 positions from where he originally started. Let's make it 13th as he gets around Dan Hill. He's tucked in, I think, behind traffic here, so Lane looks like 1 lap down for the rest of the field. 21 laps left to go here. And it's still MacArthur, Jones, McDaniel, your top 3, and a very tidy bunch, Hinchcliffe and Gear. Round out the top 5 as we check in the fast Canadian Dwayne MacArthur. The top 3 drivers very close together. They've got about a 4.7 second breakaway from John Hinchcliffe. 21 laps left to go. And McDaniel in a good spot here. Nobody wants to be leading on the last lap of a super speedway event. So I'd keep an eye out on that number 30 machine. And again, McDaniel is a playoff driver. And that 5-second gap could be enough to work with. And we're on board with Greg McDaniel's number 30 machine. Tucked in right behind Eddie Jones and MacArthur. And the gap is climbing now over 5 seconds to John Hinchcliffe, back and forth. 20 laps left to go. Now these are 3 drivers that are really hoping for a good, clean green flag finish here. McDaniel about a 10th off the bumper of Jones. Jones linked up to MacArthur. As there's a little bit of traffic in the fray as well, but right now that traffic helping out your lead lap drivers. Now that being said, I think I just saw a whole lot of lap traffic ahead of MacArthur. Checking in on the number 99 machine. That's going to be Lee Warsdale running 9th out on track. As now we're looking at Michael Watts in the 84. Watts falls back to 15th. He's got Chris Sidner, Michael Dow, Larry Corey, Tom Ogle, Garrett Cottingham in the fray. So once your lead lap drivers, MacArthur and Jones, catch up here, you can see that pack barreling down coming out of turn 2. Things could get a little bit exciting. With 18 laps left to go, I think those lead drivers could very well catch this. And that will put them squarely in the vortex of danger here. Watts leading this big pack of drivers 15th through about 20th. But again, the big concern is when will these drivers catch up, the lead drivers catch up to this big pack? Now, it doesn't look like these drivers are hopping out of line too much, maybe knowing that those lead drivers are starting to close. Seeing if they can work together here, as it looks like Watts gets a big push from the 29 to Sidnor. "17 laps left to go." A nice wide angle shot here. The track map letting us know where your favorite drivers are out on the course. As we also put up the live timing tower to the left side of your screen. That way we can see who is where. As we still have 29 drivers out on track. And there's MacArthur leading the charge with Jones and McDaniel, plus a few lap down drivers right behind. Doesn't look like they're closing the gap to that massive pack of drivers running 15th through 20th too quickly here. Trying to get a peek at the lap time last time by MacArthur with a 50.62. Watts with a 50.55, so running just about the same pace as that massive pack of drivers. So that could go well for MacArthur and friends here. If they're trying to avoid any possible risky situations, I would call it as. Checking back in on other drivers out on circuit. Still great racing everywhere you look. 15 laps left to go. Now, it's either going to be around the lap 10 to go or the 5 to go mark. You're going to see a whole lot of action rapidly unfold, but I think MacArthur, Jones, and McDaniel, I'm going to wager here they're not going to do anything too wild and try and accidentally throw away a good points night for it, because again, so many things are going to get rocked and rolled next week at the Roval. And the fans in agreement as well. I think a lot of drivers maybe realizing too late in today's main event that there might not be that big crash early on that they were expecting, and playing it safe may have put them outside of the results that they have been looking for. 14 laps left to go here at Talladega as we head into turns 3 and 4. Showing looks to be 21 drivers on the lead lap. As we're checking in on Brian Glass, he's running fourth now, 8.3 seconds back from the top 3. He has got to be hoping for a caution if he wants to try and pick up a win here. Dakota Pitch, the number 1 machine, he looks to be our hard charger so far of the evening. He is up 20 positions gained so far. As Glass just holding on to it, Pischke tucked in behind. You can see John Hinchcliffe, the number 8 machine. One of those drivers that was up front for most of the race, now back into 6th. We know, or at least we think we know, drivers can make it till the end here on fuel. Glass is outside the playoffs, but he is here for the glory of it. He did pick up a 3rd last week in Texas. As now we're checking back in on Michael Watson, the 84 machine. Watson's had a bit of a rough season. He picked up quite a large amount of wins last year. He's still 3rd in points. He's had 3 wins so far this season. Last one was back September 11th on Kansas. He had a podium before that at Darlington. And I'm trying to look here. He's done pretty well at super speedways. A 4th at Daytona. But last time he was at Talladega, way back April 24th, he was sent home early, with a broken race car and a 20th place result. So Watts, as he sits 15th out on track, not a spectacular points position. But we've also seen that 84 machine do extremely well on road courses. So he may be planning just to bring it home safe here at Talladega, and then really hammer down next week at the Roval. We check in on Dwayne MacArthur, up 17 spots from where he qualified. He still has Eddie Jones, Greg McDaniel linked up right behind him. And it's going to be 10 laps left to go here at Talladega Superspeedway next time. Bye. Here was your Chase points leader coming into tonight. He so far is the most winningest driver of the 2022 Metro Ford Cup Series. Has 6 wins to his name and only 1 pole position so far. But also keep an eye out on Eddie Jones in 2nd. He wants to make it a back-to-back win after his most recent win at Texas Motor Speedway just last week. Now, 2 has been the magic number of the season. The most times we've seen drivers pick up back-to-back wins. Drivers who have pulled that off is Dwayne MacArthur, Josh Robinson, Steve Thompson, have all made it back-to-back at least once so far this season. Jones wants to join that list, and MacArthur wants to extend that points lead as hard as he possibly can, as there looks to be a whole lot of action here. Working their way through traffic, MacArthur going high, leading the lead drivers around. Jones and McDaniel stay tucked in right behind them. You can see Watson the inside line, the 84 machine. These guys are going to try and make this. Oh, hold on to it. Here comes the lead lap drivers as we go 3 wide down the backstretch with the race leaders in lap traffic. This is not the position that MacArthur wanted to be in. It's going to be a lot of trust amongst friends and competition out here. As they charge through 3 and 4, still 3 wide. Your race leader's up on the high side. MacArthur and Jones lead up nose to tail. McDaniel trying to get through here as quickly as he can and get out of danger. MacArthur, I think, staying high to help facilitate that. Your top 3 drivers thankfully getting through there. But what a white knuckle moment, as we're going to really dwindle the drivers down who are on the lead lap. Oh, what a fray. I can see Tom Ogle tucked into this mix as well. It's going to be about 15th through 20th place right behind your race leaders now. As we continue going 3 wide, 8 laps left to go. Ogle's up high. You can see the race leaders, the top, the middle groove, the top 3 drivers. And I think this may, without a caution, may have ruined the chances for Brian Glass to battle for a podium position, because now the lead drivers have so much more draft support to work with. Relatively calm here. Now, if we can take the white flag, we will not have any green-white checker attempts here. But I still think that's going to be a big ask, because we're 7 laps left to go. MacArthur, Jones, McDaniel, your top 3. Glass and Pischke round out the top 5. Pischke, that's not a bad night so far to work his way back up into the top 5. Oh no, I take that back. Pischke is in the chase playoff, so this could be the points night he really needs in that number 1 machine to stay in it, because we're going to dwindle it down to 8 drivers next week. Now, Steve Thompson is not out on track here, so he will most likely not be making it to the next round. Let's see who else. Lloyd Moore. He's having a rough night back in 22nd. He's on the bubble. We check in on the 26 machine. That was the aforementioned Moore. He's surrounded by traffic as well. You can see, I believe that's going to be the 88 machine of Hammond in front of him, who is a lap ahead here. 5 laps left to go here at Talladega Super Speedway. I will be shocked and impressed if we can make this to the end under green flag conditions. When are we going to see some aggressiveness? Are we going to see aggressiveness as MacArthur, Jones, McDaniel, your race leaders, separated by less than 0.2 of a second, are 13.4 seconds ahead of Glass? Now, this raises the question, how much is risking a crash worth to these top 3 drivers? They have, for all intents and purposes, securely locked in the top 3 positions unless traffic does something absolutely silly behind them. So will we see Jones, will we see McDaniel hop out of formation to try and pick up a win here against the fast Canadian? Or are they more apt to play it safe, lock in the points in a top 3? For the most part, traffic sitting behind your race here. That's going to be Cam Chastain, I believe, in the 118. He's going to be showing 4th on track as he is 15th overall, 1 lap down. Driver still on the lead lap. Jones tucked in behind his teammate MacArthur, just watching to see what's going to happen. Charging through turns 3 and 4. It's going to be 3 laps left to go as MacArthur crosses the line. He's got Jones right behind him here. McDaniel's falling back ever so slightly. Not sure if just playing it safe or maybe getting built up for a run, as we're on board with Dwayne MacArthur, your race leader. You can see Eddie Jones right behind. Just a hint of the roof of Greg McDaniel, and then a whole lot of lap down drivers ahead. Who's going to be the first one to show their cards and take a shot at MacArthur? Anything can happen. It looks like Jones giving a little bit of a tail tap to MacArthur, a little bit of a bump draft saying, hey, I'm still here, and I want to join the back-to-back win club. It's going to be 2 laps left to go as they cross the line. If we take the white flag, we will not have any green-white checker attempts here at Talladega Super Speedway. 2 laps left to go. It's MacArthur, Jones, McDaniel, your top 3, a massive 15-second breakaway from Brian Glass, who's got a whole lot of drivers behind him, but the white flag will be out this time by. Who's going to make any big lunges here? Is it going to be Jones? Will it be McDaniel hopping out of formation? They may be able to use a little bit of lap traffic to their advantage behind them, but I think those guys behind the top 3 are just going to honestly play it safe at this point and try to avoid interfering with the race. And speaking of traffic, it looks like we got a little bit more. I think it's going to be Hammond, Huff, Winninger, and Dodson ahead of your top 3 here. As MacArthur leads the field down the start-finish line stripe. It's going to be a white flag out this time by. Oh, it looks to me like McDaniel going to be the first one to try something different. He goes up to the high side, leaving MacArthur and Jones down low. A little bit of lap traffic lends their support to the number 30 machine, Greg McDaniel. I don't believe McDaniel has picked up a win so far this season. It's a drag race down the backstretch here at Talladega. It's McDaniel, it's MacArthur. McDaniel pulls about a 1/10.5 over the 83 machine using the draft support of lap traffic. Can McDaniel drop down low? Will he drop down low? MacArthur in second, Jones still third. They're 16 seconds ahead. Who's going to be at the line here at Talladega? It looks like it's going to be Greg McDaniel. Greg McDaniel, oh, what's going to happen? Here comes MacArthur with a big lunge. Who's it going to be? It's going to be Greg McDaniel. Picks up the win here at Talladega. Dwayne MacArthur second, and Eddie Jones will round out the top 3. And ladies and gentlemen, I think this is the first ever win for Greg McDaniel here at the Metro Ford Cup Series. So make sure you give him a shout out in the spectator area. That was very well deserved. What a race, what a race. Great runs all the way around. Oh, that's why I have time here. I'm going to go check out 2021. I am fairly confident in saying that it's Greg McDaniel's first career win here at the Metro Ford Cup Series. So well done to him. We're going to try and get these top 3 drivers taking their victory photos. And then they'll be joining us in the spectator area. Greg McDaniel gonna enjoy the limelight here. Putting on a smoke show for the fans at home. As we try and get our drivers up here inside the top 3. We're going to try and get these drivers up here into victory lane. And it looks like the gang is all here. Up first, we're going to get Eddie Jones in the number 14 machine. Eddie, welcome back to the party, my friend. Always a good time talking to you.
Yes, sir. That was a very interesting race there, or right around, or whatever you want to call it.
Well, yeah. What would you describe that as? Was it not to your liking with excitement? What was it from your point of view that didn't make it too much fun?
Just, you trying to trust everybody around you and all that. I mean, our plan finally worked out. We wanted to get 3-4 cars together, and get away, and I felt like if we could get hooked up, we could pull away. It didn't matter how many were in a pack. So it finally worked out on that second stop.
Yeah, you guys were, I think, about 15 seconds ahead by the time it was all said and done. So a great run there, Eddie. And were you expecting any mid-late race cautions, any big ones here at Talladega?
You never know. Just you hope not, but if it does, you just deal with it the way you have to. So it was a good run by everybody. So we'll take the points and run.
Well, a lot of fun to watch, Eddie. Before we let you go, who do you want to give a shout out to that helped make it happen for you?
All of my teammates. We had a plan going in, and we executed that plan. It's just, some had a few breaks and pit road stuff like that. They couldn't get up there with us. So yeah, it was all teammates.
Awesome, Eddie. Good job, my friend. Hope to see you do well next week, and a lot of fun watching your races always.
Yes, sir. Thank you, buddy. Y'all have a good one.
You as well, sir. That was Eddie Jones bringing home a third. Up next, we've got Dwayne MacArthur, the fast Canadian, the 83 machine, bringing home a second. Still a good points night, and most importantly in Talladega, a clean race car by the time it's all said and done.
Yeah, that's the most important thing here, to be able to bring it home, get some points, and move on.
Now, Dwayne, next week we have the Roval. You either do really well at the Roval or absolutely terrible. So which way do you think the coin's going to go next week as we dwindle it down to 8 drivers in the playoffs?
Thanks for putting that in my mind. You know what? Same idea. Just hope to go out, have a nice run, and not get too worked up about where I finish. Just that I finish.
And that being said, it looks like inside the top 12, some drivers no longer racing with us or having to take nights off and had terrible points night here at Talladega. Does that give you a little bit more comfort going into that final round of this batch of playoffs?
Yeah, I think with today's finish and the lead that I had in this round, I think not so stressful for the next race. So it takes a little pressure off. Road course is not somewhere you want to go out and have to win, especially with the speed of the guys in this league on road courses, probably in the second tier there, second, third, maybe fourth tier. So it's nice not to have the pressure, and I do love the Roval. I think that's a great track. I've had some success, so looking forward to it.
Awesome, Dwayne. It's always a pleasure calling your races, man. A great finish here, second at Talladega. Before I let you go, who do you want to give a shout out to that helped make it happen for you?
Yeah, thanks. Shout out to our sponsors. First and foremost, Metro Ford Chicago, Patrick Milligan at emetroford.com. Longtime supporter of this league. Couldn't do it without him. Victory Lane Sports and Kimball.net also sponsoring the series. Really appreciate all the sponsorship from them. Everybody in this league, I mean, what a badass group of drivers all the way through the field here. These guys are unbelievable drivers. To come to a place like this and not get it all balled up. It's just a pleasure. I'm thankful for everybody who comes out every week. So, and thanks to you guys for putting on the show.
Well, always a pleasure, my friend. Hope to see you do well next week, and congratulations on a great run here tonight.
Hey, real quick, I need to give a shout out, to Mini Obi. Hope you were watching, and this one's for you, Mini Obi.
Well said. Good job, Dwayne. Pleasure talking to you, bud.
You bet.
That was Dwayne MacArthur bringing home second. But up next, the man, the myth, the legend, Greg McDaniel in the number 30 machine. Kimball.net himself. Welcome to the top spot, my friend.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Now, Greg, I was trying to very quickly thumb through all my race notes. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is your first Metro Ford Cup Series win. Is that right?
That is correct. I've won 3 ARCA races. I'm the current ARCA champion, but this is my first win in the Cup Series. So very, very exciting today.
Yeah, I mean, what a great run. We've been progressively watching you for 2 years, getting faster and faster, and arguably more important, more consistent. Did you ever think it'd be Super Speedway, Talladega, where you pick up that first win, where we sometimes see so many talented drivers have to go home early?
I like the plate tracks. When I first joined iRacing, I was on iRacing for about 6 months before I joined this league, and all I ever really did were Talladega got at pit races. So I'm pretty good at the plate tracks, but I got a new wheel and I upgraded my wheels and pedals a month ago, and I've been getting used to them. That's I've really had a steep learning curve on them, and it's finally starting to come together. I think that between that and really good teammates.
Now, Greg, for the fans at home that maybe aren't into sim racing yet, or the other sim racers that just don't know yet, what type of advantages or disadvantages are you seeing from upgrading your hardware?
It's amazing how used you get to what you have. It's not like I had terrible stuff. I had CS Elite stuff from that's all I could really get my hands on during the pandemic when I got into this, and I upgraded to a full direct drive wheel and AccuForce V2 and Husenfeld pedals, and there's just I don't know, they're more real. The difference in the wheel is incredible. The amount of force feedback and all the tunability of it, and I think in the long run it's going to be a lot better deal. But it's amazing how used you get to what you have, and just you would think switching to something better would instantly make you better, but it takes a long time to get used to everything again.
Yeah, very well said. And Greg, you were ninth in the points coming into tonight. This is definitely going to help maybe project your way into the next round for the top 8. What are you feeling? I'm not terribly good at math. I'm not terribly good at announcing either, but you think you're going to make the next top 8 and into the final round, depending on how Charlotte goes?
I'm not the best road racer in the league, but I'm not the worst either. So if we can all get away clean, and luckily there's only local cautions, so if I can get away clean, I think probably I can maintain enough to hopefully make it to the round of 8. So that's my goal. I won't be looking to win next week. I'll just be looking to make it to the top 8, because like I said, there's several really good road racers in this league, and I am not one of them.
Well, Greg, it's been a pleasure for the last couple years watching you drive, get progressively faster, and super pumped, my friend, as another two-wheel guy myself, to see you pick up the first win here at the Metro Ford Cup Series. And for the first time, definitely not the last time of your racing career here, you've got the privilege, the pleasure, the final send-offs of the evening. Who do you want to give a shout to? Any friends, family, sponsors that helped make it happen for you?
Well, most importantly today, I got to thank my teammates, because I was surrounded by them. I got to thank Steve Thompson for inviting me to the admin team in this league a few weeks ago. So unfortunately, Steve has left for now, but Dwayne and Eddie and me were working together there at the end, pulling away from everybody in a 3-car train, and then we caught a group of lap cars there near the end that included teammates. So thank you, Dwayne, Eddie, Brian, Robert, Crisco, Dakota. Anybody else I'm forgetting, I'm sorry, Dakota. But got to thank my girlfriend Sharon. I want to thank our league sponsors, especially Patrick at Metro Ford, Kim Bowl, which is me, and Victory Lane Sports. And I'm sure I'm forgetting something, but I don't want to keep you guys any longer. So thank you so much for having me.
No worries, Greg. We're super pumped for you, man. Congratulations, and hope to have you back up here more often, my friend.
Yeah, I'm super pumped too. I can't even think straight now. Thanks, guys.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. And that was a very excited Greg McDaniel picking up his first win of his Metro Ford Cup Series career. What a better time than late in the season, trying to lock his way into the next round of playoffs, where we're going to dwindle it down to 8 drivers after next week at the Charlotte Roval. And again, it was Greg McDaniel bringing home the win, Dwayne MacArthur bringing second, and Eddie Cajun Jones rounding out the top 3. As always, my name's been James East with Mason Heimbaugh running production behind the scenes on behalf of Team Goon Squad Broadcasting. Thank you all so much for spending your Sunday afternoon with us, and we'll see you next week at the oldbastardsracing.com Metro Ford Cup Series. Have a great day, everybody.